اهلا بيكم في كايرو دار. النهارده هنتكلم عن Excretion in Living Organisms chapter 4. So what about the definition or the biological concept of excretion? Excretion is getting rid of the metabolic wastes that harms the body, or getting rid the substance or the harmful substances that produced as a result of catabolic wastes from the body. So the getting rid of the non-digested food materials during the defecation from the digestive system is not act as an excretion, because the excretory substance should be passed through a plasma membrane, but the solid non-digested food material which you get out from the body during the defecation is not considered as a kind of excretion. And also, the getting rid of the nitrogen gas during the exhalation is not considered as an excretion, because the nitrogen gas is not passed through the plasma membrane. But what about the excretory organs? The excretory organs of the human being are 4 excretory organs. The first is the lungs, the second, skin, the third, the kidneys, and the fourth is the liver. The lungs act as a respiratory organ, but also act as an excretory organ, because the carbon dioxide which you get out as a result of the catabolism of the carbohydrates get out from the body through the lungs only. And also through the lungs, about a half liter of water get out from the body during the exhalation. And also the lungs get out the volatile substance of the spices that get out from the body through the lungs. So the lungs act as an excretory organ for carbon dioxide, for the volatiles, and for the excess amount of water. The skin, it is the organ that is responsible for the excretion of great amount of water, salts, the little amount of nitrogenous wastes as a urea that forms the sweat, and the kidney which act as the main organ that responsible for getting rid huge amount of the urea which act as the very poisonous substance. We understand that the accumulation of the urea inside the body that leads to death, but the liver act as the excretory organ of the poisonous substance which may get inside the body with the food. So what about the excretory wastes? Excretory wastes are carbon dioxide, water, nitrogenous wastes, salts, and the catabolism of the spices. The catabolism of the spices divided into 2 parts, salts and volatiles, or volatiles and non-volatiles. The volatiles get out through the lungs, but the non-volatiles get out through the kidneys. But the lung is responsible for getting rid or act as the excretory organ of the carbon dioxide. Lungs, skin, kidney getting rid the excess amount of water. The nitrogenous wastes get out through the kidneys, but little amount through the skin. But the salts can get out through the skin and the kidney. The excretion in vertebrates. We understand that the vertebrates are divided into 2 groups, the higher vertebrates and lower vertebrates. But the skin as the main excretory organ or the large excretory organ of the body that containing the sweat gland. The skin divided into 2 main layers. The first is the epidermis, the second is the dermis. But the epidermis is divided into 2 layers, the outer layer and the inner one. The outer layer is horny layer or dead layer made of keratin. The keratin is a proteinic substance that accumulated as the tips of the fingers to form the nails. But the lower epidermis, it's act as the active cells, which is called the Malpighian layer. It divided continuously to replace the outer epidermis, which get out during or removed during the friction of the skin with the objects. So the epidermis of the skin divided into 2 layers, outer epidermis and the inner epidermis, but the second layer of the skin is called dermis. The dermis is act as a connective tissue. The dermis containing great number of structures as the presence of the hair follicle, sweat glands, nerve ending. We understand that the hair follicle is surrounded by huge number of blood capillaries that to feed the hair, and also the hair connected with the sebaceous gland or fatty gland that responsible for the secretion of oily substance. The oily substance facilitates the exit of the hair and keep the hair soft and protect it against breaking. So that is the function of the fatty gland. But what about the erector muscle? The erector of the hair is a very small muscle that is responsible for the movement of the hair. But the structure that is responsible for the excretion in the skin is the sweat gland. We understand that the sweat gland consists of a coiled tube surrounded by a huge number of blood capillaries that carry the sweat from the blood or extract containing excretory cells to excrete the sweat components from the blood and carry them to the skin surface. So what about the function of sweating? We understand that the sweating is responsible for the regulation of the body temperature. We understand that the sweat composed of water, salts, little amount of urea. So when the water of the sweat change from liquid to vapor, that need temperature, so that takes the temperature of the thermal energy from the skin, so that reduce the body temperature. And also the sweating act as a kind of excretion because it getting out or get rid excess amount of water, salts, and the amount or little amount of the urea. So we need to clean our skin from time to time. That's the structure of the dermis, which containing the hair follicle or the hair which connected with the hair follicle and responsible for the presence of the sweat gland. But the skin acts as a sensory organ because the skin is a sensory organ for touch, pressure, temperature, and humidity. Therefore, the presence of nerve ending in the skin that help the skin to be act as a sensory organ. That's the structure of the human skin and the function of the human skin as a sensory organ and also as a excretory organ. So the nerve ending that connected with the nerve, connect the skin with the nervous system that helps the skin to be act as a sensory organ for touch, pressure, temperature, and humidity. So we explain the skin as a sensory organ, as an excretory organ, and also act as the organ of immunity or acquired immunity that protects the body against the infection. That's the end of this part, my dear students. Thank you very much. Goodbye and good luck.